Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So this was honestly one of the toughest Indiana Fever games I've had to sit through all season. If I sound frustrated or low energy in this video, that's probably because I am. Right now, I genuinely have no idea what this Indiana Fever season is supposed to become. After what we witnessed tonight, serious questions have to be asked about Stephanie White. The coaching decisions, the rotations, the adjustments, or lack thereof, everything looked completely off. And before people start blaming Caitlin Clark for the loss, I have one question. How is any player supposed to find a rhythm when every little bit of contact seems to result in a whistle? The officiating was difficult to watch, but even beyond that, the lineup decisions were absolutely confusing. The rotations have been questionable all season, and tonight felt like another example of that problem. I never thought I would actually say these words, but at this point, I find myself missing Christie sides. That's how frustrating things have become. This team simply doesn't look prepared, and the results are showing on the court. As the final moments of the game were ticking away, it was already obvious how disappointed Fever fans were. Stephanie White was becoming one of the biggest talking points online before the game had even ended. That tells you everything you need to know about how people are feeling right now. Caitlin Clark struggled tonight. There's no point pretending otherwise, but the reality is that the entire team struggled. This wasn't just one player having a bad shooting night. This was a complete team failure from start to finish. And honestly, I'm starting to wonder what exactly the front office thought this roster construction was going to accomplish. Looking at this team right now, I'm convinced this might be the weakest roster Caitlin Clark has played with at any level. That's a strong statement, but it's becoming harder and harder to argue against it. The decision to bring in Stephanie White was supposed to elevate this group. It was supposed to help the team take the next step. Instead, the same issues continue showing up every game. The transition defense was terrible, opponents were getting easy baskets all night long, the rebounding was disappointing, defensive communication seemed non-existent. Then you look at the numbers, and somehow it gets even worse. The Portland Fire absolutely dominated the paint. They finished with 52 points in the paint. 52! That's not just a bad defensive performance, that's complete domination by one side. The Indiana Fever had no answer whatsoever. Possession after possession, Portland was attacking the basket, getting easy looks, and exposing every weakness in Indiana's interior defense. It felt like they were doing whatever they wanted offensively. At some point, responsibility has to extend beyond the players. Questions have to be directed toward the front office as well. The roster construction simply isn't working. The lack of size, the lack of defensive toughness, and the overall inconsistency continue to hurt this team. Caitlin Clark's night was especially frustrating to watch. She was taken out early, spent portions of the game dealing with foul trouble, and never seemed comfortable. Every time it looked like she might settle into a rhythm, something interrupted the flow. By the end of the game, the final score was 100-84, and honestly, it felt every bit as lopsided as that number suggests. The Indiana Fever shot only 23% from three-point range. That's never going to win many basketball games. They finished with just 26 rebounds and allowed far too many second-chance opportunities once again. The turnover problem also showed up in a major way. Indiana committed 18 turnovers. 18! You simply cannot expect to beat quality opponents while giving away that many possessions. The foul situation was unbelievable. Portland finished with 26 fouls, and combined, there were roughly 50 fouls called throughout the game. The constant whistles completely disrupted any chance of building momentum. Looking at the individual performances, Caitlin Clark finished with 6 points while shooting just 1 for 7 from the field. She didn't make a three. She contributed 6 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, and only 1 turnover. By her standards, this was undoubtedly one of her roughest performances of her professional career. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston did everything she could to keep Indiana competitive. She finished with 18 points and consistently attacked the basket. Kelsey Mitchell added 17 points and also contributed as a playmaker. Monique Billings provided 7 points, but the bigger conversation might be about KK. At this stage, KK deserves even more opportunities. She played 25 minutes and produced 11 points. The energy and effort were noticeable every time she was on the floor. One of the few bright spots for Indiana was Sophie Cunningham. She came ready to compete and provided some much-needed production. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Lexi Hull. Lexi Hull had a night she'll want to forget. Nothing seemed to fall. The shots weren't dropping, and she struggled to make an impact offensively. But perhaps the most frustrating trend for Indiana fans is seeing opposing role players consistently have career performances against this team. That happened again tonight with Megan Gustafson. Megan Gustafson was nearly flawless. She scored 22 points and seemed incapable of missing a shot. She finished 8 for 8 from the field and missed only a single free throw. Every time Indiana needed a stop, Megan Gustafson found a way to score. That's the kind of performance that leaves fans shaking their heads because it feels like every opponent has someone step up and produce a career night against the Fever. And then we get back to Stephanie White. As I mentioned earlier, she was already trending online, and after this game, that's not going to change. People want answers. Fans want explanations. They want to understand why the team continues making the same mistakes game after game. Most importantly, they want to know what the plan is moving forward, because based on what we're seeing right now, this does not look like a playoff team. I know that's difficult to hear, especially considering the expectations surrounding Caitlin Clark and this roster entering the season. But if the Fever continue playing basketball like this, the playoffs become increasingly unlikely. The defense isn't consistent enough, the rebounding isn't strong enough, the offensive execution isn't reliable enough, and the overall chemistry doesn't look where it needs to be. That's why frustration among fans has reached such a high level. At this point, many people are beginning to wonder whether major changes are necessary. Whether that's coaching changes, roster changes, or front office changes, something clearly isn't working. The expectations for this Indiana Fever team were significantly higher than what we're currently seeing. As for Caitlin Clark, nobody wants to see her spending her prime years fighting through the same problems over and over again. Fans want to see her in a position where she can maximize her talent and compete at the highest level. Right now, the Indiana Fever have a lot of questions to answer, and after a performance like this, those questions are only getting louder. Fever fans are absolutely furious right now, and the reactions keep pouring in. One fan joked that all Stephanie White saw was Caitlin Clark sitting third on the points per game leaderboard and immediately decided we can't have that at all. Let's break this down. Stephanie White and Steph White are both trending, and that tells you everything you need to know about how this fan base is feeling after this game. Many Fever fans are saying Stephanie White should be left behind in Portland. Others are calling her coaching decisions completely unacceptable. Then you look at the latest reactions. Fans are demanding change immediately. Some are saying, fire Stephanie White and Amber Cox, not next week, this week. The experiment is over. The frustration goes beyond one game. Many fans cannot believe what the front office, Stephanie White, and the coaching staff have done with a roster featuring Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston. For many supporters, this loss feels like a major missed opportunity and one of the most disappointing moments of the season. Some are even comparing the situation to Vanderbilt and saying it looks worse. Guys, I'll be back with another video, but right now, I am done. This was a very bad game for the Fever. Tell me what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe.